What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. A lot of you guys might not know, but I'm a optimistic realist. Two things that kind of clash at times, but I try to positively find the most realistic routes to where things will go. And part of me really wants to like this move because it's better pricing for Duelist attending the UDS Championship, which was already the best pricing in the entire dueling world. And I feel like this move is supposed to announce the UDS is here because Konami's had trouble with that. They've had trouble communicating that the UDS is here. Whenever you ask a duelist what this is, they have split reactions, and usually they're half right and half wrong, and usually they don't know how good this pricing is. This is actually the best pricing in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Besides perhaps top 4ing a WCQ or being able to top Worlds. It seriously is, and we'll get into that in just a second. But what's the change up here? What's got me going crazy? The entire top 8 of the UDS Championship will be getting Ultra Giant Hands. Before it was Ultra Darkened Dragons, which wasn't as big of a deal because Ultra Darkened Dragon, as a prize card, only came Ultra. There were no super variants. With Giant Hand, there are only 14 Ultra Rares in existence. Let's assume that this lasts for one entire year. That's going to be 4 UDSs, 2 up here in North America and 2 down in South America. 32 copies of this will release, meaning that this will over triple in population. Over triple. That's pretty crazy for a card that has such a collector's value and has been just an awesome Xyz. So like, we already have the premium gold version of this for the common duelist. We have the super rare prize card that was sitting around $300, very accessible if you're a collector, but you're taking away the only value of winning an event at a YCS if you continue to do this in the future with other prize cards. Now, I'm not one to cry without offering a solution. I get that you want to drive traction to the UDS Championship, and a lot of people are confused with what it is, but I have a very simple solution for you. You could have given the UDS Championship its own prize card. You didn't need to make it impactful. You have a really good tendency to make something not too impactful, but also very, very wanted. And I think the Chaos Emperor Dragon is a mix of that. It's got this collectible factor. It's actually playable. You did a good job with that one. Not so much Diabolos or the Utopia Minerva was insane. Giant Hand itself was pretty good. But you could have just made a prize card specifically for the UDS that's going to be, if you keep it for 2 years, 64 copies. Then shortly after, you can make it so that Duelist can access it through product, like a normal prize card that eventually gets given to everybody, or the chance to be given to everybody. And I think that would have brought even more attention to the UDS Championship than it currently has. Now, let's talk about the pricing here and why the UDS is already so great and it didn't need this. First off, you get the only cloth playmat for top 8ing in all of Yu-Gi-Oh!, which tends to go for about $500 to $600 and has iconic cards. First was Mirror Force Dragon, next was Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon, and then Exodia. Some insanely awesome playmats that command an amazing price, and it's a very unique prize by Konami. First place gets a championship wrestling belt that grants you free access for life to regionals and YCSs, and you're not just playing for free. You get 2 buys in every single YCS you attend for life as long as this program exists, and also 2 buys into the WCQ, giving you a better chance at Worlds every single year. It's actually nuts, the pricing that is offered by the UDS, and it is by far more value than a YCS. Oh, also, you get $300 in the prize card that was Darkened Dragon. How much will this one be? I don't know where the market will dilute. We actually, let's go ahead and take a look around real quick. We'll go to the Market Watch view and go through some places. Giant Hand sold out on Troll and Toad at $900 for the Ultra. They haven't had one in forever. I imagine it would float between this price and $2,000, and ARG managed to sell it out at the $1,500 mark. We have, I think, the same seller selling it 10 grand over here and 10 grand over here. And this is actually a name I think from my stream. Red Sox Rocks has a 9.5 graded. Basically, this is as good as it gets with Beckett. Beckett's the better grading company than PSA in my book. And the only better rating, of course, is a 10. But this is pretty darn insane. a 9.5, and I don't think it's realistically worth that, but I don't think he's a motivated seller, at least not yet, until you see, oh boy, this is a reprinted prize card with more chances for 9.5 Beckett gradings. So this is where I fall on it. You're cheapening the only prize we have because we don't have cash prizes. We get some electronics, but we don't get cash prizing. We don't have like scholarships or special prizing, and that's where it really takes away from what you're currently giving the players. We were already on a system that was somewhat cheap, and we accept that as duelists and players. We accept for the past, 15 years, it is some crazy amount, that we are not getting cash prizing ever in this game. And we're fine with that. We play your game. But now, if you continue to do this with other prize cards, you take away from future events. You take away from the duelist that won this being able to keep this and being confident in its value instead of cashing it in right there to collectors to get their flight back, to help them play competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! And continue on, which is what a lot do. But then you hurt the collectors that are supporting those players as well. This is where my concern comes from, and I think it's validated and warranted that I'm concerned for the players here in this fashion and manner. Now, you are helping the current duelists traveling out in this fashion, but they didn't need it with your current pricing system, and if you just offered a different, new prize card, I think the dueling world would have taken way more notice of the UDS than Ultra Giant Hand. I think they would have looked at this. And what really hurts the UDS, by the way, it has a barrier to entry. You have to have duelist points to enter, and then it skips around places. Not every duelist is willing to road trip far out or fly out to events, especially because, like I said, only the top 3 would make their value back for flying out typically, unless, the PS4 or Xbox gets you there on a cheap flight for top 8ing. So, or is it just top 4? I'm not sure. I think console might just be top 4 or top 8. I'm not 100% these days. I haven't looked at it in a while. But I know pricing has improved over time. But realistically, the only way to gain value is to top 3 if you're flying out, right? And for a UDS, the whole top 8 got their value with that unique cloth playmat, an older prize card, and a rarity that already existed. But imagine if it was a new prize card to the entire top 8, and you did maybe Ultra to top 3, Supers to the rest. I think that would have been something truly special. Something really good for this program. And that's what I'm saying I'm trying to provide to this conversation, offering you a route in the future to go by that doesn't infringe on your past champions. Like, if this was Gold Sark and I'd kept my Gold Sark, I'd lose it, I would have kept that for literally a decade. That's how ancient my credentials are. That's how much they don't matter. But I have a Pharaoh Tours Gold Sark. If I'd seen that, I'd been like, well, all the Thunder Dragon players are sure gonna be happy, but... And I guess mine says Pharaoh Tour instead of Shonen Jump, so that I have that going for me. That's about all I could feel, man, that the 14 people, I know that's so few people affected, but they're people who supported the competitive community and duelists there to own these cards. That sucks for them, doesn't it? It just straight up does, and that's where I really am feeling this, But maybe I'm thinking too much about it. It really is good prizing for the duelists to see something like this, but as these events go on, the giant hands will dilute themselves. There's 8 more here, 8 more here, 8 more here if this lasts a year. So the giant hands themselves will dilute to the amount of, catching up to the super ratios, especially if this held for 2 whole years. How do I feel about that? You're literally taking away the value slowly of the people who do win this and forcing them to flip their value, and then as your event goes on, you're giving them less and less through this card if you made this last for 2 years. So I do implore my solution of a prize card, but I'd love to hear your solution in the comments section. How would you educate people on what the UDS is? I think working with tubers would have been great with the UDS, being able to maybe show off what they could win, not necessarily giving the tubers stuff, but working with the tubers hey, will you promote the UDS and explain what it is in full, because we think it's really amazing for duelists, so they might want to have points for when it's close to their area and be prepared for it being around, and learn how to earn points by entering in regionals, doing well at regionals, that kind of stuff. They need to know how to earn these points. Maybe working with tubers would have been a great first first step. And like I said, not necessarily giving them anything. I know several tubers, Simo probably would have gratefully taken the opportunity to do a full educational video on this if he hasn't already. And I gladly would have too. I would have done it without any pay. You wouldn't have needed to give me anything. And I've done it several times to tell you how amazing the UDS already was. But this is a whole nother level. And I'm happy for the current duelist at top 8. You've got something special. But each time somebody else top 8s, you got something a little less special. And I really think a new prize card, some kind of import that might not necessarily impact the meta, but is something we're missing. Subterra Guru, perfect example. And then you guys get it later on. Sorry, Subterra players, but something like that, an import we're missing that we're guaranteed to eventually get, and some players could immediately get and play with if they wanted to that bad. That's where I land. And if you enjoyed this discussion, I try to see both sides, and I do get there's good in this. If you enjoyed this discussion, please give it a thumbs up, and then comment maybe your counterpoint to me down below. Counterpoint, do you think there's a better solution than a prize card that doesn't already exist for giving awareness to the UDS and for its prizing? Or do you like to see this collector's card actually have more on the market? And how do you feel about the competitive duelists who bother to win the Ultra? Because there's the super rare if you wanted a prize collectible at a affordable value. But now it does just dilute the pool, in my opinion.